Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, another aspect which matters to Bharat, and it is about Bharat's own identity, its own integrity, and the dangerous, devious game that is being attempted to play. This is a most wanted terrorist, Gurpatwant Pannun. He has filed a lawsuit claiming an alleged assassination attempt. Bharat has dismissed it completely as unwarranted and unsubstantiated imputations. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri further said that a person's antecedents are well known and the particular case will not change Bharat's views on the underlying situation. And he's been allowed, an American citizen, a wanted terrorist in Bharat, is filing a lawsuit and he is naming none but the National Security Advisor of our country in that lawsuit. This is Bharat's reaction.
I would only invite your attention to the person behind this particular case, whose antecedents are well known. I would also underline the fact that the organization, so-called, that this person represents is an unlawful organization, has been declared as such under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967.
Top Indian government sources have told CNN News18 that the allegations are baseless and false. They suggest that Pannun's lawsuit is a strategic move aimed at undermining India's reputation on the international stage ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the US for the UNGA. According to sources, Pannun is portrayed as an immigration lawyer exploiting the situation to attract clients seeking refugee status by framing himself as a victim of alleged atrocity. Sources further added that Pannun is linked to Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence or ISI and is supported by US agencies that oppose Bharat. He's an ISI plant and is supported by US agencies against Bharat. That's what sources said. Intel sources have further said that there are non-bailable warrants against Pannun. There's an Interpol Red Corner notice against him. He's accused of orchestrating attack and protests on Indian consulates and diplomatic missions. And this unlawful organization, SFJ, is involved in incidents targeting UK, US and Canada and the Indian missions there. Before we bring in our guests on this, I just want to add another aspect, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll just combine these two aspects if we can. The K2 agenda ahead of the UNGA, and there is a reason why I'm saying this. K2 is Kashmir and Khalistan. So on the one hand, you have Gurpatwant Pannun, who's actually filing a lawsuit trying to bring out this entire Khalistani aspect, that is K. The other one is Kashmir. Even as Jammu and Kashmir voted, and the first phase of polls went out beautifully and peacefully, and a phenomenal turnout. Pakistan's agenda is Congress's and National Conference's agenda, says Quaja Asif. The defense minister supporting Congress NC manifesto, and Pakistan is doing balle balle over National Congress's manifesto. Even as both National Conference and Congress have rejected this claim outright. They have said this is what is happening in India and Pakistan has no business to meddle or interfere. But there is a reason why. There is a reason why the Pakistan Defence Minister has said that the Congress's agenda on 35 is Pakistan's agenda, and this is how PM Modi has torn, and PM Modi tearing into the India alliance, saying, look, your utterances outside are being used. Your utterances are being used by the enemy. Are they all hand in glove? That's the political angle and the political question that's been asked. Listen to what the Prime Minister said, but first also what Quaja Asif said.
हमारे पास पॉसिबल है. देखें, बड़ी पोटेंट इस वक्त प्रेजेंस है वहाँ पे कांग्रेस की भी और नेशनल कांग्रेस की भी, दोनों की. और इस इशू के ऊपर जो है मेरा ख्याल है कि जितनी मोटिवेट हुई है वादी की पॉपुलेशन, स्पेशली वादी से बाहर भी, लेकिन जो वादी में जो हुई है, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि उनको बहुत चांस है कि ये जो कोलिशन है ये हुकूमत में आए. और जैसे कि उन्होंने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में कहा है, बल्कि ये एक इलेक्शन इशू बनाया हुआ उन्होंने कि स्टेटस जो है रिस्टोर होना चाहिए. तो स्टेटस अगर रिस्टोर हुआ तो काफ़ी हद तक जो एक हमारा भी बड़ा एहतजाज रहा है पिछले 4-5 साल में इस इशू पे, बिल्कुल हमारा भी ये डिमांड है.
कांग्रेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस यहां पर पाकिस्तान का एजेंडा लागू करना चाहते हैं. पाकिस्तान के जिस एजेंडे ने जम्मू कश्मीर की पीढ़ियां बर्बाद की, हमारा खून बहाया, वही ये लोग यहां फिर से लागू करना चाहते हैं।
So there are two aspects here, ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra with us and Ramnik Maan are with us. One, and this is K2. So the Khalistan aspect with Gurpatwant Pannun and what they are trying to do in the US, plus Quaja Asif playing this card of trying to say abrogation of 370. Is there a route to try and get a plebiscite conversation going or a narrative going at the UNGA? The other one is that this statement comes on the day when Bharat talks about revisiting the Indus Water Treaty. So there are 2-3 aspects here. We've just put both the issues on hand. And let's go and get the views of our experts here. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, how would you see this? One, this soft K2 offensive or the information war around and playing this K2 game, Khalistan and Kashmir. But two, the aspect of Pannun and how Quaja Asif has made this comment. I'm going beyond this politics, domestic politics, but to the geopolitical aspect of it.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that because I don't like to comment on domestic politics. But let me first start with the Pannun issue because there is a lot more than seems obvious that it's just a filing of a case in an American court. Please remember that when a case is filed in American court or any case is filed anywhere, even with police, as had happened with Devyani Khobragade, the consequences were very severe. The kind of harassment the US police did to Devyani was atrocious. So the case has been filed. According to some reports, summons have been issued against certain individuals, individuals with whom US National Security Advisor and other senior officials have been in constant touch. So why is it that they are doing it just before Prime Minister's visit? And secondly, why are they doing it when they know that a sensitive state like Jammu and Kashmir is going in for polls? So all these are sort of worrying signals coming from supposedly a friend like America, which of late has been on the offensive, if I may use that word, that you will not allow RT to be seen here in India. You will not have contacts with a certain country. Now, no responsible country in this world and in present age does such things. Files cases against high officials, files cases just before a Prime Minister's visit. What if some policeman in New York, when our delegation is there, for example, mistakes someone else from Mr. Ajit Doval in the delegation and tries to arrest him? US is playing a dangerous game in order to, for some reason, get its agenda through. After all, this issue had been dead for over a couple of months. Why did US not file a case against Pannun? Because he has been giving open threats that certain Air India plane would be bombed, such and such terror act would happen. All this means nothing for America. And what is the proof they have against our senior?
Here is the thing, Gurpatwant Pannun is being very careful. He's got his entire, dictation or whatever he says legally vetted. So he adds small clauses, if and on, and then it says 80s was bullet, now it will be ballot. What if there is something like this? Go ahead and crowd Air India. They bombed it then, let's not bomb it now, but let's go and create a conversation. See, that's how he's saying. So then he's trying to be legally safe within the ambit. But the question is, Bharat has him listed as a terrorist, as a wanted terrorist. So if Bharat and India are going to are working together, how is a wanted terrorist a free legal US citizen? Now, will they be okay if we were to have, if we had given Bin Laden citizenship and said, okay, he's a citizen of Bharat, we're going to protect him? Ramnik Maan,
Okay, good evening, Anand. There are many sides to this coin. It's not just a simple flip, head or tail, black or white. There are many shades of grey. Number one, to begin with, it's a proxy war against India. Let's understand very clearly. And it's being led by none other than the US itself. Canada European countries, others could be a party to it, but it's being spearheaded by the US. India is a rising power, and they're trying to show India its place, that we can book your NSA, we can book your former Secretary R, that is the chief of R&AW, and that's how we treat you, and that's how we feel and we think about you. And it comes at the eve of the Prime Minister's visit to New York, where he must have had some agendas, and this will be used as a theatric. It will be used as a tool against India. It is also true that it is a lifeline for somebody like Pannun, who's otherwise unemployed. He has nothing else to do but to get money from these agencies. And let me be very clear and emphatic about it, that Pannun is he's an asset of the deep state. Let's not misunderstand that, because he's a terrorist and we've been asking for him for a while now, and is being protected entirely again by the US authorities. But also what we need to understand is that they're trying to build a narrative around that the Indian government is anti-Sikh, Modi is anti-Sikh, and the state of India is anti-Sikh. So this is a narrative they're trying to build. Finally, what we also need to understand that there is a regime change gang working, and I was surprised at the choice of words of former diplomat Rajiv Dogra ji when he says a friend like US is no friend of India. Let me tell you very clearly by a few examples. Let me clarify. Well, Bangladesh, we've just seen a regime change. Sri Lanka, we've seen a regime change. We've seen a regime change in Maldives on India Out campaign. Well, we've also seen a regime change in Pakistan, Myanmar, and we've seen a regime change in Nepal most recently. As a matter of fact, if you look down deep, everywhere in India, left, right, center, bottom, top, China, we have China as an aggressive neighbor. We've had regime changes everywhere. So who's next? It's anybody's guess. And who's behind all of this? The United States. So there is a deeper meaning. There is a deeper purpose to this. It's a build-up. Why is Jack Sullivan coming to India 4 times? And why is Donald Lu visiting India 9 times in a year? What business has he got? So there is something brewing, and we should wake up and smell our coffee before it's too late.
So that's a different point of view, but from a diplomat's perspective, to call somebody a friend, there are underlying meanings to that too. And the friendliness to Russia have revoked a certain reaction with Russia, evoked a reaction from the US. Sheikh Hasina started not being so friendly with the US, so she was removed. So these are things which are there, and many believe that US से दुश्मनी तो महंगी पड़ेगी, लेकिन दोस्ती और ज़्यादा महंगी पड़ती है. So, and these are also words of a diplomat only, but that's how we've got to work on those. We got to work on those equations. Dr. Ranganathan, and then we'll come back to Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, and we'll take this conversation into the other part of the K2, that's the Kashmir angle. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, Ramneek Bhai Paji is an elder brother to me. He's a very dear friend. But please ask him this question, whether America is a friend or not, in a week's time when Modi is there and meeting Trump. And his exact words would be, America has been a friend. No, but let's come back to this topic. There are 2 issues out here. And I like to spell both. You might be shocked, Anand, but let me spill it out. I am not blaming Pakistan, and I am not blaming the USA for this. Are you shocked enough? But let me... Why should I blame Pakistan? What has been the modus operandi or the entire history of Pakistan? It is to exploit the divisions that are within us. So can I please, instead of blaming Pakistan, whose job it is to exploit it, instead go and talk about the divisions that are between us? Why would Pakistan succeed in saying what it does if we were not divided? So please, I want to concentrate now in the next minute on the divisions that are there between us. And here I have to say this without, basically being absolutely frank, the entire blame lies with the Congress. And not just Congress, historical Congress, or 20 years or 10 years from, before, the Congress that is right now at the beck and call of Rahul Gandhi. He is the one who is possibly deliberately weakening the Indian state. And is an exact example of this. You know Captain Amrinder Singh. Nobody has been as tough on Khalistan and calling out the Khalistan association of both AAP and Congress when he was at the helm. Where is he now? He was the one, in fact, who said SFJ and Pannun have a nexus with Kejriwal. He went so far as to say that. He's not in Congress now. The point I'm trying to make is that when we are divided, our enemies will exploit it. Let's talk about Pakistan right now. Why wouldn't Pakistan exploit the fact that the most vociferous opponent of abrogation of Article 370 has been Rahul Gandhi and has been these sectarian parties? And may I ask why? What is so special about Kashmiris that is not special about the rest of the country? In any case, Article 370 was supposed to be temporary. Dr. Ambedkar refused to actually have Article 370.
Yes.
He said, I won't allow this, according to Professor Madhok. The point here is that when you have an Article 370 which is divisive, which curtails and stomps upon the rights of lakhs of Dalits, women, Gurkha, refugees, even Muslim women, Sikhs, and on the other hand, you say you fighting for the rights of all these people, like Rahul Gandhi is. Why wouldn't Pakistan exploit it, Anand? Please tell me.
Ambassador Rajiv Dogra?
Well, if you look at the record of the last few elections in India, Pakistan has steered away from commenting anything at all. So it is a bit of a surprise that someone like Quaja Asif, who's the defense minister of Pakistan and who has been in politics for some time, he should now break that trend and specifically comment. And not only comment on the election process in Kashmir, but also comment on particular preferences that he has. I think he was ill-advised. Let's just hope that he also knows that the international behavior these days is that if Russia interferes in American elections, then America reacts strongly. If China tries to interfere in American elections, America reacts strongly. So would other countries. So India naturally expects Pakistan to stay away from making comments which interfere in India's internal affairs. Quaja Asif would be most welcome to make such comments and in fact participate in the election process if the part of Pakistan that he comes from decides to merge with India. Then he'll be an Indian national. That's a different story. But coming to another point, which is worrying, is that this is just an excuse to up the ante on Pakistan's part, because this is not a one-off comment. Obviously, they have discussed this issue among them. On India's part, I think we've done very well to carry on, break the shackles of the past, remove Article 370, divide Jammu and Kashmir into two parts, and more importantly, something which I've advocated for a long time in my book also, Where Borders Lead, about the Indus Waters Treaty. I think government has done a tremendous job. So let Pakistan shout. Let them say whatever they want. Indus Water Treaty would be the decisive blow to Pakistan because it has been pampered, fattened on Indian water and on Indian sacrifice. I say this advisedly because our farmers are suffering. We in Delhi are not getting water, whereas Pakistan is wasting water to such an extent, Indus waters to such an extent that quite a lot of it goes unutilized into the sea.
Correct.
So government needs to be complimented in asking for a revision, and I would say that they should not wait for Pakistan's reaction, but make sure that this becomes a reality whereby we start utilizing our waters.
No, very well put there, and I think it's the bluff has to be called out that we are not going to move away from the Indus Water Treaty clause and wanting to rework it, and that's been on since 1960 and there is inherently lopsided, so that needs to change. That's one part. The other part is if the US backs us on the Indus Water Treaty, there is a go slow on the lawsuit overall, and it just fizzles out after this entire show of drama, whatever is happening, then it's a different thing. But what is the ask from the US that they are playing this game, this dangerous double game? That's something we'll have to watch out for very, very closely. I'm compelled to take a break at this point. So Dr. Ranganathan, Ramnik Maan and Ambassador Rajiv Togra, thank you very, very much. Stay with us. We'll be right back.